Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Hello and welcome. Take it from the Iron Woman. We're starting with some marathon runners, participants, sections, episodes. So tonight we have Ilana on the call. Bonsoir, Ilana. We have you as a special guest and we want to hear about your marathon experiences. But first, just tell us, who is Ilana, who will be on the episode tonight?
Well, hello, Suzanne and everybody. I actually had a very complicated background where I moved from quite a few different countries, and I was born in Israel, I lived in the United States, and then moved to Belgium, and then moved to the Congo where I grew up. My formative years, 9 years of my life was spent in the Belgium, Congo, then Zaire, that became Zaire, and then back to Belgium, and then I came back here in 1976. So I've always been pretty much an outdoors type of person. I love nature, I love animals, I love all kinds of things, and I was mainly a cyclist and a swimmer and a runner. I was sent to running camps by my parents as a teenager in Belgium, and I hated it with a passion. Somehow I participated in 2 international events that were called Eco-Challenges, one in Morocco in 1998 and one in Fiji in 2002. In Morocco, I was not a runner. I mean, I did everything else, trekking, hiking, bicycling, kayaking, swimming, everything you could imagine. But I realized after that for some reason, I needed to start running because there was something about endurance, and that was missing in all the stuff that I was doing. So that's when I started in 2000, little by little.
So that's 20 years of running, 20 years of great stories. Wow, interesting. And how many marathons have you run so far?
So I've ran 7 so far, New York City Marathon, and this year, if I manage to get, to that point, I will run my 8th one. And my 2 first ones, 2006 and 2008, were a complete disaster because I put so much pressure of time on my head. I was very competitive and it was a terrible, terrible experience for me. And I said I would never, ever, ever run. I cramped. I was ill prepared for the cramping, for everything else that came along. It was a big, huge suffering, and I couldn't take in the experience. So I let it lapse until 2015 when I started running again.
So then you didn't run at all from after those?
No, I did run. I continued a short race. My joy is a 5K, 4 mile, the small ones. When it starts getting to longer distance, it's not my forte. But I could do it. I know I can. It's like I do the long distance ones because there is something about it that intrigues me and excites me, and I don't know, it's just a little bit like a metaphor for me, about a metaphor for life, especially the marathons.
And for people who don't run, tell us a little bit about that metaphor. What can it be? Because I think we all know if people don't run, they're like, those people who run marathons, they must be crazy. So what does that make us so crazy? Or I also think sometimes there's magic in running a marathon.
Well, it's like, I see it, it's like one step in front of the other. Mm-hmm. And the beginning is always a little easier because the energy is high and you haven't yet exert any kind of energy. So you're much more, alert and you start doing. But then what I always find funny in the marathon, I mean, you've ran a few probably yourself, and it's how people are screaming and the excitement, the joy, taking pictures, from all over the world. And you reach then the Queensborough Bridge, where all you hear is a lot of moaning and quiet and heavy breathing. And it's a pretty isolated area and a little gloomy because you're under the bridge. And that's when the real marathon for me starts, where it takes everything you have to now get moving. It's like you're a little bit more than halfway through, and then there's all the rest of the mileage, which seems endless and enormous. Yep. Like life, you realize you have a bad moment, and then it changes, it shifts, and then you have a pain here and a pain there, and you think it's over and you have to pull out, and then you keep moving, keep putting that foot in front of the other, and then all of a sudden this pain has dissipated somehow, and you get into another phase and another phase. And then you see, sometimes you get into a place where you just want to quit. And you look around you and you see a person on prosthesis with their canes moving, and you just ask and that is like, that person doesn't know what an inspiration she or he has been. And that moves you, even because you realize, my God, I have these two legs, I have the arms, I have everything, and what am I complaining about? Look at this person who's going to get there. And so that there's all stuff like that happens, like little extraordinary moments that pull you out of this difficult time. And it's like life, if you open up and you have bad moments, and then everything it's like it keeps moving. You keep moving with the flow, and you get to another place.
Wow. And how do you train? I mean, like, a lot of people think like we go from zero to a marathon, and your story sounds so inspiring and motivating. And I understand when you see a person with prosthesis, you're like, come on, I can do more than those people. But how do you train
them? I guess it's not more than them. It's more, I can't explain, but it's not like I'm competing with them or anything. It's more something about it's not a competition with myself, but it's like I take that moment to pulse a little bit further. It's like an inspiration that happened.
Inspiration, motivation.
Exactly.
I had the same on my very first race. Maybe I can share that here, that we all know where the cat hill is. I was like, this is not for me. Let me give up. And it was rainy, cold in December. And the person in the wheelchair was next to me. And I looked over and I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And this was my start of my running career, right? So I think we need those moments where we need the inspiration and the motivation from others.
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you prepare yourself for the marathon? Maybe you give us some insight on, I know these are April, May, June, July, and the fall are big months to train for the marathon.
Well, because I run my own business, time is a big issue. I'm a early morning runner. I really cannot run after work. I mean, a lot of people do it in the evening. I can't. I love the morning. The morning is my time. So I do what I can. I don't run every day. I break it with a lot of strength training, which I do at my home. I don't go to a gym. I have this program I work, which I love. It's called it's just a program. It's called T25 by this trainer, which is very, very intense for 25 minutes with weights and all kinds of things. But that really gets me going in the morning, or I go for a 4-mile run. And as we get closer, I try to enter as many races as I can, different lengths, like from 5K, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6, 10K, if I can, a half marathon, or I do on my own. I try to increase the training mileage, getting closer to the marathon, higher mileage, long distance mileage, like 9, 10, and if I could do more, I'll do more. But that's what I can do. I mean, so yes, I am not a 2-hour and 30-minute runner.
That's okay. And that's exactly who I wanted to interview for my podcast, because we are all everyday people. Everybody has a cool story. I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations for people who want to enter the running, maybe not running the marathon, but what would you tell a novice? What does it take next to the nice shoes and watch, whatever we need, equipment?
Well, maybe just the way I started to run, I would do 30 steps walking, 30 steps running for a mile. And then when it got easier, I started running a mile, and then I started increasing. And then to enter a race, just to for the experience of it, so that you're not intimidated by, if you just want to run a marathon, it's a good training and experience to be in a crowd of other runners or walkers or however the pace is, and to just enjoy, put it maybe the beginning of training, just to see how are you, how do you feel about it, how do you feel about your body, how your body feels, running in a crowd of people, and getting yourself to a finish, walking or running, however you want to do it. From there to just, if you enjoy it, because you have to enjoy it. If you are beating yourself up to try to meet a certain thing and don't, and then are upset about it, the whole experience will fall apart and you're going to hate it in the end. So just to go with the flow and enjoy the experience and the finishing and the camaraderie of other runners. And if you are alone, and maybe if you want to join other people to train with them, join a club, join New York Road Runners, go to the training activities in the evening. There's tons of them at the running center, and just build yourself that way without the pressure, unless you're an elite athlete or want to meet a certain time. Don't beat yourself up, because it's just all about feeling good and having a great time.
These are extremely good recommendations that everybody should take, even if you're an elite runner. It should be enjoyable. Don't beat yourself up. And before we recorded this episode, you also said the last marathon you took off the music, right? So you enjoyed it. So maybe as a last insight, tell us about that experience running without the music, because when you spectate the New York City Marathon, I would say every other person has music on, and me personally, I cannot run with music. So how is it with or without music for you?
I do the music for me is because there's a question of focus that I like, and it keeps me in this focus when things start getting a little bit on the tough side and it gets a little bit difficult. The music helps me sort of get above because I focus on it sort of keeps me above everything that's going on. But this year, and I did it every year, I'm on and off. Sometimes I would turn it off so I could enjoy the crowd. But when there are areas like under the Queensboro, that's completely that. When I need my music to just get me through that very long stretch that feels endless into Manhattan. So the quiet period, one also in Queens, as we turn, there's a few that are very quiet where there's hardly any crowd whatsoever or no crowds. And those, I like to have the music because it helps move along. But in this particular marathon, I decided from the start that I was just going to, I didn't know, I just knew that my marathon was going to be very long and that I just wanted to have another experience because I've experienced everything. So I decided to remove my music in the long stretch of Brooklyn. I interacted with the crowd, which I never did very much. I mean, once in a while I would put my hand for kids and stuff like that, but I didn't really. It was incredible. It was just so moving to me that all these strangers seeing, all these, especially still being there at the end of the race when, a lot of people have already left and the elites have passed through and many others and thousands. Now here it comes the last wobbling.
Last corral. But they're there for you. I think that's important, right? Yeah.
They would say, somebody would say, you can do it. And I would thank them. And that whole block of people would start telling me, you can. And I just touched everybody's hand. And it was an extraordinary human experience. Total strangers, but it was so moving to me and so warm. And they were so wonderful, young, all age groups. And it was just, there was a connection, that happened. That's what it was about, really, a connection with this crowd who was so encouraging. And it's really, I realized all the pains and aches were sort of in the back
were gone
because of this interaction, And it was an eye-opener for me and a completely, probably the most enjoyable, hard but enjoyable marathon that I've ran so far.
What a story, right? So just taking off the music and you have a totally different experience. Voilà, c'est la fin. Merci Ilana. Maintenant, on commence de parler en français. Peut-être il y a encore quelques mots en français pour les gens qui nous écoutent.
Oui.
Alors, bonne chance pour le marathon de 2020 à New York. Est-ce qu'il y a encore...
Est-ce que vous allez le courir aussi?
Moi, je vais courir. Ça va être mon 17e fois que je vais faire le marathon de New York. Oui, alors, grand événement, c'est l'anniversaire 50 ans à New York, non?
Oui, ça va être extraordinaire, je crois, oui.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time and certainly good luck. November 1st, we'll see each other on the road, even before, right? Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Bye. What an inspiring story. Don't beat yourself up. It should be a joyful event. Keep running. We have many more marathon stories coming. Each Monday is a new podcast. Take it from the Iron Woman. Leave a comment. We want to hear your marathon stories.